Stop me if this sounds familiar. You're lying in bed at night, scrolling through your phone, and you see it again. Another engagement announcement, another wedding, another couple holding hands in front of some beautiful sunset with 100 heart emojis in the comments. And you feel it, that quiet ache, that voice in the back of your mind that whispers, "Why not me?" Because you've done the work. You genuinely have. You've read every book, listened to every podcast. You've journaled until your hand cramped. You've meditated. You said the affirmations out loud in the mirror with full conviction. You've made vision boards that would make any manifestation coach proud. You've prayed. You've set intentions. You've done the rituals. And still, nothing. Or worse, something. You meet someone. There's a spark. You think, finally, this is it. And then it falls apart. Again, in exactly the same way it always does. If that's you, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not cursed. And you are absolutely not failing at manifestation. What's actually happening is something far more subtle and far more fixable than most people in the spiritual community ever talk about. Welcome to Manifesting Miracles with me, your host, Joelle. Today we're going deep. I'm going to share with you the 3 hidden energetic blocks that I see most often in my readings. The ones that quietly, invisibly, sabotage everything you're trying to build. And I'm going to share some real client stories with their permission. Because sometimes you don't fully understand something until you see yourself in someone else's experience. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you may finally understand why love has felt so out of reach. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. The spiritual world has sold a lot of people a beautifully packaged lie. Think positive thoughts, visualize hard enough, raise your vibration, and love will appear. And look, there is truth in those practices. I'm not dismissing them. But after over 30 years of psychic readings, after sitting across from thousands of people who have done all of those things faithfully, I've learned something that changed the way I understand love and energy entirely. Manifestation isn't just about what your mind believes. It's about what your nervous system feels safe receiving. Read that again. You can want love desperately. You can visualize a partner every single night. You can say, "I am worthy of love," every morning with tears of conviction running down your face. But it's somewhere deep inside, your body, your nervous system, your energetic field doesn't actually believe it's safe to receive that love. The signal gets scrambled. The door stays closed. Not because the universe is ignoring you, but because part of you is still guarding the entrance. These guards show up in 3 main ways. Let's talk about the first one. Block 1. Your nervous system still expects love to hurt. This is the most common block I encounter, and it's the most heartbreaking because the people who carry it are usually the ones trying the hardest. They sit down in a reading and they tell me with complete sincerity, "Joelle, I am so ready for love. I've done the healing work. I know what I want. I'm completely open." And I believe they believe that completely. But when I read their energy, what I feel is something different. Their nervous system is still braced, still waiting for the impact, still holding its breath, the way you do when you've been in a car accident. And every time you get back in a car, your whole body tenses at intersections, even when nothing is wrong. That's what unhealed relationship trauma does to us. It rewires our nervous system to treat love as a threat. The mind says, I want commitment. The nervous system says, commitment is how you get blindsided. The heart says, I want intimacy. The body says, intimacy is just vulnerability waiting to be weaponized. These two signals run simultaneously. They create a powerful internal contradiction that shows up in your energy and in the partners you attract. I want to tell you about Sarah. Sarah was 38 when she came to me. She was the kind of woman people look at and genuinely cannot understand why she was single. Successful accountant, stunning, witty and warm in equal measure. The kind of person who remembered your birthday, made you feel seen, and would do anything for the people she loved. She had been in 6 serious relationships over 15 years, and every single one had ended the same way. Not with a fight. Not with a dramatic breakup, with a slow fade. The men she chose were charming at first, exciting. They pursued her hard, and then, gradually, they'd start to pull away. Texts went from immediate to hours-long delays. Plans got canceled. Explanations got vague, and Sarah would respond the only way she knew how. She'd work harder, be more available, be more understanding, try to say the right things, do the right things, be enough to stop the slow disappearing act. It never worked, and each time it ended, she blamed herself a little more. I must be too much, she'd tell herself. Or, I'm not enough. Or the cruelest one, maybe this is just what I deserve. When Sarah sat down with me, I connected with her energy, and I felt something immediately. There was a wound that wasn't 10 years old. It felt like it had happened yesterday. Raw and present and very much still bleeding, even though Sarah had convinced herself she was over it. 9 years earlier, she had been engaged. She had a date, a dress, a venue, a future she'd built in her mind down to the Sunday morning coffee rituals. And then, 8 months before the wedding, he ended it. No warning she'd seen coming. No chance to fix it. I thought I'd healed from that, she told me, eyes filling. It was almost a decade ago. I went to therapy. I moved on. And she had moved on, consciously. But her nervous system had drawn a very clear conclusion from that experience. The people who seem most committed are the ones who leave the hardest. Safety is an illusion. Trust is a risk you'll eventually pay for. So without realizing it, Sarah had been operating from a hidden protective instinct. She wasn't choosing emotionally unavailable men by accident. She was choosing them because men who held back felt familiar. Men who were consistent and emotionally present felt suspicious. Her nervous system had learned to read the absence of red flags as a red flag itself. Healthy felt boring, she admitted quietly, and I could see the moment of recognition cross her face. The uncertainty felt like passion. That was the moment everything shifted. Not because I gave her a spell or a technique, but because she finally saw the pattern, really saw it, and understood it wasn't about the men. It was about what her own nervous system had decided was normal. Over the following months, Sarah did the deeper work. Not more manifestation exercises, actual nervous system healing. Learning to sit with the discomfort of stability. Learning to let consistency feel safe instead of suspicious. Learning to stop confusing chaos for chemistry. Today, Sarah is married to a man who texts her back, who shows up when he says he will, who chose her clearly, consistently, without making her work for it. He would have bored me before, she told me, And now I understand that's exactly why I almost missed him. Here's what I want you to sit with. If you keep attracting the same type of person, the problem isn't your taste. It's what your nervous system has learned to call love. Block number 2. You're manifesting from wounds instead of worth. This one is subtle, sneaky even, because it hides perfectly behind the language of love and desire. Here's the difference. Manifesting from desire sounds like, I would love to share my life with someone who truly knows me. To build something real, to be chosen. Manifesting from wounds sounds like, if I could just find someone who stays, maybe I could finally stop feeling like something is wrong with me. The energy underneath those two statements is completely different. One comes from wholeness, reaching out toward more wholeness. The other comes from a wound that's looking for a relationship to close it. And here's the devastating thing about manifesting from wounds. It works. You do attract someone, but the dynamic that follows is almost always painful, because the relationship becomes responsible for healing wounds it didn't create and wasn't equipped to hold. When worth wounds are running the show, you'll notice patterns like overgiving until you're depleted, hoping that generosity will make you impossible to leave. Accepting behavior that quietly humiliates you because at least it means they're still there. Making yourself smaller, less opinionated, less inconvenient, just to keep the peace. Staying long past the point where everything in you knows you should leave. And working, constantly working, to prove you're worth choosing. None of this is weakness. All of it is survival. It just doesn't belong in a healthy relationship. Melissa came to me on a Tuesday afternoon and she was exhausted in the way that goes deeper than tired. The kind of exhausted that lives in your eyes. She was 44. She'd had 3 significant relationships in the past decade, and every single one had followed an almost identical arc. First came the connection. Real, genuine, warm. Melissa was magnetic, funny, deeply empathetic. Men fell for her quickly. Then, slowly, the dynamic would shift. She would start to notice that she was always the one making the plans, the one checking in, the one saying, "Are you okay?" The one absorbing the bad moods, the family drama, the financial stress. The relationship would start to revolve entirely around her partner's emotional world, and Melissa's needs would just quietly disappear from the conversation. She told herself it was love, that loving someone meant showing up for them, that good partners sacrifice. But what she described wasn't a partnership. It was a full-time caretaking position she'd applied for without knowing the job description. During her reading, I asked her one question. When you were growing up, what did you have to do to feel loved? She went very still, and then she told me about her mother, how her mother had struggled with anxiety and depression throughout Melissa's childhood, how Melissa, as the eldest daughter, had learned early that her job was to manage the emotional temperature of the house, to sense when her mother was starting to spiral, to be helpful, to be easy, to be no trouble, so that the family stayed steady. "If I was useful enough," she said slowly, like she was hearing the words for the first time, "they didn't fall apart. And if they didn't fall apart, I was safe." There it was, the belief she'd been carrying since childhood, woven so deep she'd mistaken it for her personality. Love is something you earn through usefulness. The moment you stop being needed, you become disposable. That belief had shaped every relationship she'd ever had. She hadn't been attracting partners from her worth. She'd been attracting them from her wound, specifically the wound that said her value was contingent on what she could give. The shift for Melissa didn't happen in one session. It happened gradually, over months, as she began to do something radical. She started letting herself take up space. She started saying, "Actually, I don't want to do that." She started asking for what she needed instead of intuiting what her partner needed. She started letting people struggle through their own problems without immediately rushing in to solve them. It felt terrifying at first. Every time she held a boundary, part of her braced for the abandonment she was sure would follow. It didn't come. And less than a year later, she entered a relationship unlike anything she'd experienced before. A man who, when she had a hard week, asked how she was doing. Who held her emotions with the same tenderness she'd spent a lifetime giving to everyone else. Who said, on their third date, "I really want to know what you need in a relationship." I almost didn't know how to answer that, she told me, laughing and crying at the same time. Nobody had ever asked me before. The question I want to leave with you here is this. If your ideal partner appeared tomorrow, fully present and fully ready, would you believe you deserve them? Or would part of you immediately start looking for what you'd have to do to keep them? Because that gap between wanting love and believing you're worth receiving it without earning it, that's the wound that manifestation techniques alone can't close. Block number 3. You're still energetically attached to the past. This is the one that surprises people the most, because it exists even when someone is absolutely certain they've moved on. You don't have to still love someone to be energetically attached to them. You don't have to want them back. You might not even think about them consciously. But energetic attachment isn't about love. It's about unfinished emotional business. And it can quietly occupy space in your field for years without you realizing it's there, and without you realizing how much room it's taking up. You replay old conversations, not to miss them, but because you're still looking for a different ending. You catch yourself comparing new people to someone from your past, and nobody quite measures up. You feel an inexplicable sadness that has no present-day source. Or new relationships just keep stalling, like there's something just out of reach, just slightly off. That stall? Often, it's because part of your energy is still facing backward, and you can't fully step into a new story when you're still trying to rewrite the old one. Jennifer had been trying to move on for 3 years. By every external measure, she had succeeded. She was dating actively. She'd put the photos away. She'd rebuilt her social life. She was in therapy. She was doing all the things. But every new relationship she started seemed to quietly die around the 3-month mark, like flowers that bloomed beautifully and then, without warning, just dropped their petals and stopped. She'd been with Marco for 4 years. They had built a whole life together, shared friends, shared dreams. Even a dog they'd adopted together. When he ended it, he did so gently, carefully, saying all the kind things people say when they're trying to leave without leaving damage. The problem with a gentle ending is that it doesn't give you anything to be angry at. There's no villain. There's no dramatic moment of betrayal that cracks the story wide open and gives your grief a shape. There's just an absence, a slow, polite disappearing of the future you thought was yours. Jennifer had told herself she was over it. She'd even said the words out loud, "I've made peace with it." But the moment I connected with her energy in the reading, I felt something she hadn't named yet. Not longing, she genuinely wasn't waiting for Marco. What I felt was grief. Unprocessed, unfinished grief that had been sitting in her chest like a stone she'd been carrying so long she'd stopped noticing the weight. "Have you actually let yourself grieve that relationship?" I asked her. "I thought moving forward was the same as healing," she said finally. And there it was. Jennifer had confused forward motion with healing. She had stayed busy, stayed positive, stayed productive. She had done everything except the one thing grief actually requires: stopping, feeling it, and letting it move through. The grief wasn't about Marco specifically. It was about the future she'd been planning, the life she thought she was building. The version of herself who had been so certain about what was coming. That version of her deserved to be mourned, and she never had been. In the months following the reading, Jennifer stopped trying to be fine. She let herself not be fine. She honored the loss, the actual loss, not the sanitized version she'd been presenting to the world. She cried. She wrote. She told the truth to the people close to her, instead of saying, "I'm good, honestly, I've moved on." And gradually something shifted. The weight she'd been carrying without knowing lightened. The stone in her chest began to dissolve. 4 months later, she met someone, not by doing anything differently on the outside, but because on the inside, she'd finally made room. It was like I'd been living in an apartment stuffed full of furniture from my old life, she told me. I was trying to invite someone new in, but there was nowhere for them to sit. You cannot fully welcome a new chapter while you're still emotionally living in the last one. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because energy follows attention. And if yours is still tangled up in the past, it's not fully available for what's ahead. Here's the thing about all 3 of these blocks. They don't announce themselves. You don't wake up one morning thinking, "I must be carrying nervous system trauma from an old relationship." You don't look in the mirror and realize, "I've been attracting partners from a place of deep unworthiness." You don't notice the unprocessed grief because you've been busy building a life that doesn't require you to feel it. You just notice the results, the same patterns cycling back, the same disappointments wearing different faces, the same feeling that love is somehow always just slightly out of reach. This is where a reading becomes powerful, not as a prediction, but as a mirror. When I sit with someone's energy, I'm not telling them what they don't know. I'm often reflecting back what they've sensed, but haven't been able to name. And there is something extraordinarily releasing about finally having a word for what you've been feeling for years. Because once you can name it, you can work with it. Once you can see the block, you have a choice about whether to stay behind it. I want to be honest with you here. Clearing these blocks isn't a single dramatic moment. It's usually a process, sometimes slow, sometimes non-linear. Sometimes you think you've cleared something and it resurfaces in a new form. But what I've witnessed over 30 years, over thousands of readings and follow-ups, and the most extraordinary client updates, is that when these blocks genuinely begin to release, something unmistakable shifts. You stop being attracted to chaos and start finding it exhausting instead of exciting. You stop over-functioning in relationships and start noticing who meets you at the level you're offering. You stop confusing anxiety for attraction. You stop tolerating inconsistency and start recognizing it early without making excuses for it. You stop having the same conversations with your friends about the same kinds of people. And most powerfully, you start to genuinely believe in your body, not just your mind, that you are worth choosing. Not because you worked hard enough, or gave enough, or healed enough, just because you are. When that shift happens in your energy, the quality of what you attract changes. Not because the universe suddenly decided to be generous, but because you finally stopped blocking the door. A truth I need you to hear. If love hasn't arrived yet, it is not evidence that you are doing something wrong. It is not proof that you are unlovable. It is not a judgment on your worth or your readiness or your heart. Sometimes the delay isn't punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes there is still a layer of healing, a lesson about your own patterns, a moment of recognition that hasn't fully landed yet. And the love that's meant for you is waiting just on the other side of that shift. Your timeline is not wrong. Your longing is not wrong. And your heart is absolutely not wrong for wanting this so deeply. The goal was never to be perfect before love arrived. The goal is to be aligned enough that when it does arrive, and it can, you're actually available to receive it. That's a completely different thing. I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 blocks landed most for you today? Was it block 1, the nervous system that's still bracing for heartbreak? Block 2, manifesting from wounds instead of worth, giving endlessly and waiting to finally feel chosen? Or block 3, the unprocessed grief, the energetic attachment to a past you haven't fully let yourself leave? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if today's video stirred something in you, if you recognized yourself in Sarah's story, or Melissa's, or Jennifer's, know that what I do in a private reading is exactly this work. Going beneath the surface of what you've consciously identified and illuminating the energetic patterns that have been running quietly in the background. I've been offering psychic readings and mediumship for over 30 years. I work with people at every stage of this journey, from the ones who can't understand why love keeps missing them, to the ones who are finally in the relationship they wanted and trying to keep their old patterns from destroying it. If you're ready to understand what's actually happening in your love life at an energetic level, the booking link is in the description below. I'd be honored to sit with you. If this video helped you, please like it. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, and share this with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes one insight is the thing that finally cracks a pattern open. Because sometimes the love isn't missing. Your energy is just getting ready to receive it, and it's almost there. YouTube thinks you will like this video next. Let's see if they are right. I will see you in the next one.